In the town of Hage, a priest discovers 2 babies abandoned at his church's doorstep. He brings them inside and learns their names Yuno and Asta. Fast forward 15 years, Asta boldly proposes to Sister Lily, but she repeatedly rejects him. Yuno and the other orphans tease Asta, pointing out his lack of magic. Determined, Asta tries to show off, but Yuno easily overshadows him with his magical prowess. At the grimoire acceptance ceremony, a couple of nobles mock the commoners present. Yuno receives a rare 4-leaf clover grimoire, but Asta is left empty-handed. Despite this, Asta declares that he will still become the Wizard King, but Yuno remains unfazed. After the ceremony, Yuno is ambushed by the 2 nobles outside, but he easily overpowers them. Suddenly, Repshi Salik, a former magic knight, appears and plans to steal Yuno's grimoire for profit. Asta rushes to help but is quickly defeated. As Repshi crushes Asta's spirit, Yuno calls Asta his rival. Encouraged by Yuno's words, Asta refuses to give up. In that moment, a mysterious grimoire with a 5-leaf clover appears. When a large sword emerges from the grimoire, Asta grabs it, and a devil's shadow looms behind him. 10 years earlier, Yuno was running along a trail when he suddenly tripped and fell. Asta rushed over, asking if he was alright, and offered his hand to help Yuno up. Teasing him, Asta called Yuno a crybaby, but reassured him that it was fine because he always had his back. Hand in hand, they continued running along the trail, with Asta mentioning that Sister Lily and the other orphans were waiting for them at the top. Along the way, Asta threw a fit about wanting to marry Lily. Yuno reminded him that it wasn't possible since she was a nun. Asta, undeterred, insisted that he wasn't done yet and vowed that, as an adult, he would marry her one day, to which Lily smiled. Later, inside the church, Lily read a story to Yuno and Asta about the origins of the Wizard King. The tale spoke of a brave mage who defeated a demon that had plunged the world into darkness, restoring the light. Yuno appeared frightened by the story, while Asta was deeply engrossed. By the end, both boys were clearly inspired. One day, Asta admired the Wizard King statue, positioned atop the giant skull near the church. He asked Sister Lily if the Wizard King was important, and she confirmed that he was, second only to the king himself. Asta stood on the fence outside the orphanage and confidently announced that he had made up his mind he would become the Wizard King. Surprised, Lily listened as Asta listed his reasons for wanting the title. Afterward, Asta asked if she would marry him once he became the Wizard King, to which Lily responded that it was a completely different matter. Asta persisted, and Lily continued to refuse, while Yuno chuckled at the scene. On December 12th, Asta was practicing his magic with no success, feeling frustrated that he still couldn't use it. As Lily walked by with a basket of laundry, Asta offered to help, and Lily thanked him. Without missing a beat, Asta asked her to marry him, to which she instantly replied, no. He tried asking again, but Lily kept cutting him off with refusals. Meanwhile, Yuno approached, trying to calm baby Nash, who was crying. Asta jokingly told Yuno not to start crying as well, adding that, since he was going to be the Wizard King, handling a crying baby or two was no big deal. However, when Asta took Nash, he shook the baby too roughly, making Nash cry harder. Lily quickly soothed Nash, leaving Asta astonished. Rekka teased Asta for claiming he'd become the Wizard King someday. Father Orsi asked the orphans to deliver a letter to a nearby town. Asta volunteered, but Orsi chose Yuno instead. Asta insisted he should go, but Yuno grabbed the letter and left without a word. In town, Yuno delivered the letter, but was confronted by a drunk man who snatched his necklace. Back at the church, Asta noticed that Yuno was running late. Yuno tried to fight back with his wind magic, but the drunk man mocked his weak efforts. Just then, Asta burst in and tried tackling the man, but was easily knocked aside. Despite this, Asta kept getting back up, demanding the return of Yuno's necklace. Seeing Asta's bloodied but unyielding determination, the man eventually gave up and dropped the necklace. Yuno apologized for Asta getting hurt, but Asta reassured him, saying he'd always have Yuno's back. In the present, Repshi Salik panicked over the grimoire and sword that appeared, while a devil-like shadow loomed behind Asta. With one swing of the sword, Asta nullified Repshi's chain magic. Striking Repshi down, Asta declared that, even without magic, he would become the Wizard King because never giving up was his magic. Repshi was knocked unconscious, crashing into a wall. Asta then explained that he trained his body since he lacked magic. Asta and Yuno recalled the promise they made to each other and reaffirmed their goal to become the Wizard King. A city is under attack by a massive demon when the first Wizard King appears and defeats it. Over the generations, the Clover Kingdom remains protected by each Wizard King, who leads 9 squads of magic knights. Their duty is to safeguard the kingdom and its citizens, even at the cost of their lives. Asta finishes his routine of 1,000 swings with the sword from his grimoire and drinks Mogura leaf juice to recover. Meanwhile, Yuno has also been training chopping wood and breaking rocks. Both boys have their sights set on the Magic Knight's entrance exam. Sister Lily and Father Orsi visit Drought to discuss their foster sons applying for the exam. Later, Asta and Yuno race each other back to the church, with Nash declaring Yuno the winner. The next day, as Asta trains, Nash approaches him, saying orphans are too weak and can pour to dream of becoming magic knights, Asta fires back, shouting that giving up isn't an option and he'll prove that anyone can succeed. That evening, Lily and Orsi prepare a special dinner of various tato dishes to send the boys off in the morning. As they depart, Lily recalls the first time she met the boys and the night Yuno brought home an injured Asta. During their long journey to the royal capital, both Asta and Yuno continue their training. The boys arrive in Kika and register for the Magic Knight's entrance exam. While waiting with the other candidates, they are approached by anti-birds, creatures that flock to those with low magic power. They avoid Yuno but swarm Asta. As Asta tries to escape the birds, he bumps into Yami Sukiro, the captain of the Black Bulls, along with his companions Finral Rulacase and Gordon Agrippa. After Yami leaves, Seki Bronzaza introduces himself to Asta and explains the captains and their squads as they arrive: Nozel Silva of the Silver Eagles, Fugolian Vermilion of the Crimson Lions, Jack the Ripper of the Green Mantises, Charlotte Roselay of the Blue Roses, Gildra Poizot of the Purple Orca, Dorothy Unsworth of the Coral Peacocks, Real Boysmortier of the Aqua Deer, and William Vengeance of the Golden Dawns. During the exam, Asta struggles through the various tests, while Yuno and Seki display impressive skill. For the final test, candidates are paired to fight. Seki chooses Asta, thinking him a weak peasant, but Asta defeats him with a single swing of his sword. He then declares that he is aiming to become the Wizard King. After Asta defeats Seki Bronzaza and declares his goal to become the Wizard King, the crowd thinks he's delusional. Other contestants continue their matches, and Yuno is paired with Salim Hapshas. Salim uses his strongest spell, but Yuno easily counters it with his towering tornado, securing a quick victory. When the exam ends, the squad captains begin selecting contestants. Yuno is highly sought after by all the captains and chooses to join the Golden Dawn squad. Asta, however, receives no offers. Yami Sukiro explains that the captains are hesitant because they don't understand Asta's power and know he has no magical abilities. Asta confidently responds that he'll keep pursuing his dream of becoming the Wizard King no matter how many times he fails. Impressed, Yami invites him to join the Black Bull squad and Asta eagerly accepts. As Yuno and Asta try to talk afterward, Asta suddenly needs to use the restroom. Seki follows him in, creating a poisonous lizard to attack Asta, but Yuno intervenes and stops Seki. Asta is then taken to the Black Bull's base. When he opens the door, he's immediately blasted with fire, and Yami welcomes him to the squad. At the Golden Dawn base, Yuno is introduced to Klaus Lunetz, who warns him that gaining acceptance into the group won't be easy. Meanwhile, Asta tries to introduce himself to the Black Bulls, but they're too preoccupied with their own issues to notice him. Yami Sukiro finally grabs their attention by smashing through a wall, prompting the members to rush out and meet Asta. Yami introduces him, and one by one, the Black Bulls introduce themselves. Asta eagerly asks for his squad robe, but he's told he has to earn it by convincing Magna Swing first. Magna puts Asta through an initiation ritual, making him do push-ups and sit-ups. For the final trial, Asta must block one of Magna's attacks. If he succeeds, he'll officially become a member of the Black Bulls. Asta manages to deflect Magna's attack back at him, impressing Magna, who then gives him his robe. Watching from a balcony, Noel Silva observes the new recruit and scoffs at him. Asta is shown to his new room, thrilled since he's never had one of his own before. Magna Swing tells him to write a letter to the church so they know he made it onto a squad. Asta eagerly sits down and writes the letter. Meanwhile, Yuno is given his own room and told by Klaus Lunetz that he'll learn about his Magic Knight duties the next day. When the church receives both Asta's and Yuno's letters, they are surprised and proud that both boys passed. Magna gives Asta a tour of the Black Bulls base and introduces him to the other new recruit, Noel Silva. Noel mocks Asta for being a commoner, boasting that she is a member of the Royal Silva family. Asta dislikes being called insect and boldly stands up to her, declaring that they are all equals in the Black Bulls. Noel uses her water magic to prove him wrong, but her spell veers off course and accidentally hits Magna. Angry, Magna scolds her, and Noel, clearly upset, throws her robe on the ground and walks away. Later, Asta finds Noel practicing her magic, trying to hit a bullseye on a tree. He realizes she has trouble controlling her power. When she notices him watching, Noel fears Asta will mock her. She attempts to fire a water ball at him, but loses control of her magic, trapping herself in a giant water bubble that begins destroying the area and threatens to drown her. Yami Sukiro comes up with a plan, launching Asta toward the bubble so he can use his sword to cut through the spell. Asta frees Noel, and Finral Rulacase rescues them both from falling. Instead of mocking her, as Noel feared, Asta compliments her on how powerful her magic is. Touched, Noel calls him by his name instead of insect. The squad welcomes her back, reassuring her that she isn't a failure because they all have their own struggles. Noel is given her robe again, and Asta offers her a hand to help her up, which she gratefully accepts. Asta spends his day cleaning, doing laundry, and feeding the beasts. He tries to wake up Yami Sukiro, but is promptly yelled at and told to leave. Frustrated, Asta realizes he has no clue what Magic Knights are actually supposed to do. During breakfast, he asks Noel Silva why she doesn't help with the chores. She replies that As royalty, she doesn't have to, but Asta argues that it's unfair. Curious, Asta asks the group what the duties of magic knights are. Magna Swing explains they protect the kingdom and handle security, while the others give their own idealized versions of the answer. Yami arrives and calls Magna to accompany him on a mission. Asta eagerly asks to come along, but Magna dismisses him, saying kids aren't allowed on adult missions. Magna and Yami head to a casino where they gamble away all their money and belongings. Desperate, Yami wagers one last round, offering his grimoire. Instead, the casino owner, Seihai, makes them agree to do whatever he asks if they lose. Yami accepts. They return to the Black Bull's base, naked from losing everything. Yami and Magna give Noelle and Asta their first mission as magic knights hunting wild boars near Sasi village. Noelle is hesitant, worried about her lack of control over her magic. Magna reassures her, saying the mission will help her practice and any mess she makes, he'll clean up. They ask Finral Rulacase to teleport them, but he explains he can't go to places he hasn't visited before. Magna offers to take them by broomstick, but neither Asta nor Noelle can fly one. Magna then lets them ride on his crazy cyclone broomstick, flying them to the village. Meanwhile, in Sashi, a group of mysterious people teleport into the village and swiftly defeat several boars. Heath Grice, their leader, tells his team that the magic stone is there, and they must find it. Asta finds himself chased by a wild boar, with Noelle Silva and Magna Swing watching from a distance. Noelle attempts to use her water magic to assist him, but accidentally hits Asta instead. Despite the mishap, Asta successfully takes down the boar, using his sword, and quickly dispatches the other four. They carry the boars back to Sashi, during which Magna shares stories about his childhood in a nearby village. He reveals that he once tried to take over Sashi, challenging Seihai multiple times but losing every time. Seihai, he explains, had enough power to be a magic knight and was the one who encouraged Magna to take the exam. Magna fondly recalls that Seihai taught him what it meant to be a real man upon arriving at Sashi. The Black Bulls are met with a thick mist. Magna instructs Asta to cut through it with his sword. They reach the main square, where they find the townspeople huddled together perilously beneath deadly ice spikes. Magna uses his exploding buckshot to shatter the spikes, only to discover Seihai lifeless on the ground. Suddenly, Heath Gray sends a massive ice block hurtling toward them, but Asta saves the townspeople by slicing through the magic. Asta confronts Heath, asking why he is attacking the village. Heath coldly replies that he is eliminating the townspeople because they are beasts. Determined, Asta vows to protect the villagers. Heath and his followers unleash an endless barrage of icicles, and the Black Bulls struggle to defend the townspeople as Heath continues to conjure more. He offers a cruel ultimatum if they surrender. He'll let them live. Asta stands firm in his refusal. When Anna pleads for Noelle's help, Noelle finds inspiration and conjures a protective dome of water over everyone, shielding them from the ice. Magna Swing beams with pride at Noelle Silva for conjuring the sea dragon's nest around the townspeople. Seizing the moment, Asta leaps through the cover to strike at Heath Grace, but Heath disrupts his momentum by creating a slick patch of ice on the ground. Heath attacks Asta, sending him sprawling. As Heath strides past, he attempts to break through the wall of water. Although Magna realizes he must step in, his magic reserves are dwindling. In a sudden burst, Asta makes another attempt from behind, but he's too slow and is sent crashing back by Heath's ice. Undeterred, he tries again, only to be pushed back once more. Seeing Asta struggle, Magna decides to help and pushes through the water barrier to the outside. He suggests they recreate the Black Bull initiation ceremony, unleashing his prison kill buckshot before collapsing. Heath deflects some of the fireballs while allowing others to sail past. However, Asta is ready. He deflects the incoming fireballs back at Heath and his men. Meanwhile, Noelle forms a small shield to protect Magna from Heath's counterstrike. Heath finds himself engulfed in flames that refuse to extinguish. Seizing this opportunity, Asta charges in and strikes Heath with his sword. Heath collapses, finally defeated. Magna binds the remaining 4 mages, but one manages to slip away. Exhausted, Asta collapses and falls asleep. The grateful townspeople express their thanks to the trio. An anti-bird flutters out of Asta's hood and scouts the village, spotting a glimmer of light coming from a building. It ventures inside and uncovers the magic stone that Heath was after. Magna declares to Heath that he will expose everything, including who he works for. Instead of cooperating, Heath encases himself and his men in ice, shattering it and sealing their fate. Later, the trio pays a visit to Nick and Anna at their grandfather's grave. Nick reflects that he greatly admired the Magic Knights, but they were also a source of regret for him since he felt he hadn't tried hard enough in his youth. Nevertheless, he shares that was immensely proud of Magna. Suddenly, the anti-bird begins pecking at Asta, revealing the magic stone it discovered. Nick tells them they can keep it as a token of gratitude for saving their town. Elsewhere, the escaped mage reports to a shadowy figure adorned with a golden dawn badge. Asta, Magna Swing, and Noelle Silva return to the Black Bull's base, where Yami Sukiro commends them for protecting the townspeople. Vanessa Inoteka and Finro Rulacase arrive back from the Magic Investigation Department, but they have no updates on the identities of the attackers from Sasi. Yami announces that the investigation department will take over the matter. He also reveals reveals that the Wizard King acknowledged their efforts and awarded them a star. A star is given by the Wizard King based on a Magic Knight's performance. Vanessa explains that a star reflects how much work a squad has done. They discover that Golden Dawn is currently leading with 70 stars, while the Black Bulls hold a deficit of negative 30 stars. Yami then hands Asta his pay for his work as a Magic Knight. Asta is shocked by the amount, while Noel appears unimpressed. This irks Asta, who argues that it's enough to buy at least 10 years worth of potatoes, adding that Sister Lily can make anything taste delicious. Curious, Noel asks who Sister Lily is, and Asta enthusiastically declares that she is the woman he plans to marry someday. Vanessa inquires about their plans for the money, and Asta replies that he intends to send some back to the church in Hage. And Vanessa advises him to treat himself a little and offers to take them shopping. The next day, she takes them to the castle town of Kika. Asta is in awe of everything around him, while he and Noel observe the rest of the Black Bulls spending their money. Vanessa leads the duo to the black market. Noel is hesitant about the place, but she becomes more open when Vanessa mentions that there might be a magic tool available to help her control her powers. Noel tries on a necklace, but when she attempts to use it, her attack accidentally hits a man passing by. It turns out to be Seki Bronzasa. He begins to flirt with them, but Asta's jealousy flares up since he's with two women. Suddenly, a man snatches a bag from an elderly lady and runs off. Hearing her cries for help, Asta takes off in pursuit. Asta pursues the thief, who is floating on a cloud. Seki Bronzasa follows closely behind on his magic scooter. Asta swings his Demon Slayer sword, slicing through the spell and causing the cloud to vanish. The thief takes off on foot, and Asta keeps chasing him. Seki crashes into the thief with his bike, sending him sprawling to the ground as Seki stands over him, laughing. But the thief retaliates by pulling out a paralyzed knife and stabbing Seki in the foot, making Seki collapse. Asta kneels beside Seki, who dramatically tells him to live out his dreams for him, claiming he's about to die. Seki closes his eyes, but he doesn't pass away. Frustrated, Asta punches him in the face and scolds him for giving up on life so easily. Vanessa and Otika arrives and applies ointment to the wound, revealing it was just a numbing poison. Seki gets back up and takes the thief with him. Asta, Vanessa, and Noel Silva return the stolen bag to the elderly lady. As they leave, they miss seeing her transform into Julius Novachrono, the Wizard King, who has been searching for new magic. Meanwhile, the Wizard King spots Klaus Lunetz, Yuno, and Mimosa Vermilion flying overhead. They are acting as bodyguards for Salim Hapshas on his journey to the Heart Kingdom. Klaus questions why Yuno was chosen as a bodyguard, especially since he defeated Salim during the exam. Salim explains that he requested Yuno for the job to apologize. He encourages Yuno to pursue his dream of becoming the Wizard King, so he can brag to his future children that he once fought the Wizard King. Salim asks Yuno about his background, and Yuno shares his past. However, Klaus remains suspicious about this mission. Suddenly, dark clouds appear. Yuno investigates and gets ambushed by a group of bandits. Though he falls off his broomstick, he defeats the attackers, impressing Salim and Mimosa. Salim then suggests they visit Yuno's home village to learn about his upbringing. Klaus protests, but Salim insists. They fly past the demon skull and reach the church, where Sister Lily steps out to greet them. Yuno is nearly overwhelmed by the children and Father Orsi, who asks them to stay. Salim agrees to spare an hour. While Yuno is swept away by the kids, the others head inside the church, and Klaus is left grumbling about the entire situation. Salim Hapshas, Klaus Lunetz, and Mimosa Vermilion enjoy dinner with Orsi Orphai and Lily Aquaria in the chapel. During the meal, Yuno asks about the amount Asta has been sending them, and he's stunned by the total. He vows to send all of his pay the next time. Klaus suggests it's time for them to leave, but Salim wants to linger a bit longer and asks for more water. Sister Lily offers to fill the water jar and heads off to the well. However, on her way back, one of the bandits snatches her away. Hearing Lily scream and the sound of the jar shattering, the others rush outside but arrive too late. Yuno immediately volunteers to search for her, but Klaus reminds him that their mission is to protect Salim. Ignoring the order, Yuno sets off into the forest to find Sister Lily. He skillfully takes down each bandit he encounters along the way. Eventually, he finds Lily guarded by the last two bandits. Abra demands Yuno's grimoire in exchange for her, claiming that without it, Yuno is just an ordinary magic knight. Yuno refuses and narrowly dodges as Klaus hurls a violent rotating lance at Abra. Klaus reveals that this whole situation was orchestrated by Salim as revenge for losing to Yuno during the exams, which is why Salim didn't become a magic knight himself. Grateful for Klaus and Mimosa's support, Yuno prepares for a fight. Klaus decides to take the bandits to the capital but wonders where the last one has gone. It turns out that Julius Novachrono has captured the final bandit and is disguised among them. Sister Lily is safely returned to Hage. Back at the Golden Dawn base, Klaus, Mimosa, and Yuno are met by William Vengeance, who informs them that they've earned a star from the Wizard King. Klaus is pleased about the star but warns Yuno never to go off on his own again. Yuno simply replies, okay. Meanwhile, at the Black Bull base, Asta hears about Golden Dawn's star and vows to catch up with them. Meanwhile, the Wizard King detects an anomaly and expresses his desire for them to investigate it. At the Black Bull's base, Asta is sweating it out, doing push-ups with Magnuswing sitting on his back. They're brainstorming names for the bird, finally settling on Nero just then. Yami Sukiro strides in, announces that a new dungeon has been discovered. These dungeons are ancient tombs filled with relics, and this one is located near the Diamond Kingdom. Yami reveals that Asta was specifically chosen by the Wizard King to to investigate it. He also includes Noel Silva and Luck Voltia in the mission. Finro Rulocase opens a portal to the dungeon, and the team steps inside to explore. Luck immediately senses a powerful flow of mana in the air, and Noel feels it too, but Asta is clueless. Frustrated, he slams his fists on the ground, inadvertently triggering trap magic. In a panic, he summons his sword and negates the magic. Luck, always the troublemaker, goes around activating more traps just for Asta to negate. Vanessa Inota is visibly worried about the kids, but Yami reassures her that the tougher the mission, the more they will push their limits and grow stronger. Luck theorizes that the Wizard King picked Asta for his unique ability to negate magic. Sensing another presence in the dungeon, Luck takes off to investigate, leaving Asta and Noel alone. Asta excitedly talks about his dream of becoming the Wizard King and shares his admiration for Yuno. Suddenly, Noel realizes they're alone together and charges ahead, only to get caught in one of the traps. Asta quickly slices through the vines to free her, but they spring back and ensnare both of them this time. Just when things seem dire, a burst of magic hits the trap, freeing them. They turn to see who their savior is. Yami recalls that members of Golden Dawn were also sent to explore the dungeon. Standing there is Yuno, who coolly tells Asta that he has repaid his debt. Alec Doris Sandler questions Captain William Vengeance about why Yuno was sent to explore the dungeon. Vengeance calmly replies that he trusts Yuno and urges Alec Doris to do the same. Klaus Lunetz turns to Yuno and asks why he chose to save Asta and Noel Silva when their main mission is just to explore the dungeon. Mimosa Vermilion pops in to say hello to Noel and drops the bomb that she's Noel's cousin. Noel is less than thrilled to see her and rolls her eyes at Mimosa's usual rudeness, especially when she asks about Noel's magic progress. Mimosa can't help but brag about how they earned a star, but Asta and Noel chime in that they earned one too. Klaus doesn't believe them and questions their credibility. He asks where the third member of their party is, but Asta and Noel have no clue. Klaus scoffs, calling them an embarrassment to the Magic Knights. Asta fires back, insisting they'll be the first to explore the dungeon. An argument erupts between Asta and Klaus, with Yuno, Mimosa, and Noel watching the fireworks. Mimosa uses her magic to map out the dungeon while Yuno carries them off, with Asta and Noel hot on their heels. Both Asta and Yuno are eager to see who will reach the treasure chamber first. Nero, the bird, helps guide Asta and Noel through the twists and turns of the dungeon. Meanwhile, Yuno tells Klaus not to underestimate Asta. In a different part of the dungeon, a messenger reports to the Wizard King about a squad from the Diamond Kingdom, led by Lotus Humalt also being present. The Wizard King remains unbothered, confident in the strength of those he dispatched. Luck takes on Lotus's subordinates, quickly defeating them before facing off against Lotus himself. Lotus explains that they're invading the Clover Kingdom due to dwindling resources, but Luck is only interested in the thrill of battle. Suddenly, the room begins to spin, leaving Luck confused as he hasn't even been hit by any of Lotus's magic. Lotus smirks, revealing that the entire room is infused with his magic. He casts the spell to weaken Luck's abilities while he was preoccupied with the subordinates. Meanwhile, the Golden Dawn team arrives at two massive doors. Just then, Mimosa is struck by magic and collapses, injured by a Diamond Kingdom mage. Despite the odds stacked against him, Luck rallies and launches a powerful attack against Lotus with a surge of lightning magic. In a flashback, Yuno and Asta discuss how they share a stronger bond than any real family they had. Luck Voltia is seen as strange because he's always cheerful and smiling. His mom hits and mistreats him until he discovers his lightning magic. He harnesses this power to defeat a noble, which scares his peers. When his mom hears about this, she warns him that no one will help him in this world and that he must rely on his magic to keep winning. With this newfound determination, Luck charges at Lotus Humalt. Lotus uses his magic to trap Luck in a thick smoke. Mimosa Vermilion uses her magic to heal herself while Klaus Lunetz and Yuno confront the Diamond Mage Mars. Noel Silva feels Luck's magic as they rush down a corridor. Asta wants to help him, but Noel insists they should let Luck handle it and focus on reaching the treasure chamber first. Klaus tells Yuno to head to the treasure chamber while he takes on the mage. The Diamond Mage unleashes his magic at Klaus, but Yuno steps in to protect him. Asta slices through Lotus's spell, freeing Luck. Klaus asks why Yuno came back for him, and Yuno replies it's because they are friends, and together they will defeat the mage. Asta and Noel try to assist Luck, but he insists he doesn't need friends and can handle Lotus alone. Asta helps him regardless, and Luck realizes he's never truly alone. Lotus traps them in a degenerate king's smoke prison. Luck uses his lightning to direct Lotus so Asta can strike him with his sword. Luck understands now that teamwork matters. Meanwhile, Yuno and Klaus struggle to make an impact against the Diamond Mage. Lotus Humalt attempts to escape, but Asta, Noel Silva, and Luck Voltia pursue him. Unfortunately, Lotus manages to slip away, confident that Mars, the Diamond Kingdom Mage, can take it from here. Klaus Lunetz spots the mage stones embedded in Mars's forehead and suspects that Mars's magic has been artificially boosted. The Diamond Kingdom has been embedding magical objects into people's bodies to enhance their abilities. Klaus strikes at Mars, but the attack is blocked by a Talos puppet. Yuno battles Mars, but no matter what he throws at him, it barely leaves a mark. Mars taunts him, stating that Yuno's magic is useless against him. This reminds Yuno of when he and Asta were kids. Asta would ask Yuno for help during training, never giving up until he managed to touch him. Yuno keeps fighting despite Mars's constant encouragement to surrender. Mars swings his Leviathan down to crush Yuno, but Asta arrives just in time to slice it in half. Asta challenges Yuno to see who can take down Mars first. Klaus is stunned that Asta managed to save Yuno when their magic failed, and he can't believe he was rescued by a member of the Black Bulls. Mars creates numerous mineral clones, and Asta charges in, managing to strike Mars and send him flying across the room. Luck weaves through the clones, destroying them one by one. Klaus remains in disbelief that someone without magic can possess such strength. Noel informs him that Asta's ability negates magic entirely. Klaus thinks it's just luck that gave Asta such a power. Mars returns, summoning the heavy armored titan, and squashes Asta. He questions Asta's identity, and Asta responds that he was born without power, but he will still become the Wizard King. He jumps up and shatters the armor, sending Mars crashing to the ground. Yuno recalls their childhood, remembering how Asta persistently tried to break through his magic until he finally succeeded. After Klaus Lunetz restrains the defeated Mars, Asta slices through the magical door, and the Golden Dawns and Black Bulls rush in to explore the treasures of the dungeon. Yuno discovers a scroll covered in strange writing that glows before vanishing. Nero directs Asta to a lock on the wall, but he doesn't quite grasp what it is. Suddenly, Mars breaks free and storms into the treasury, clad in the heavy armored titan and phoenix feathers robe. With the other boys trapped, Asta charges forward but is slammed through a wall. Noel Silva attempts to douse the healing flames, but Mars pushes her aside. Mimosa Vermilion rushes over to Noel and starts healing her. Seeing this, Mars targets the girls. Nero bursts through the wall after Asta and lands on top of a sword. Armed with this new blade, Asta rejoins the fight to protect the girls. When Asta strikes Mars but the attack is swiftly healed, Noel cheers him on and his new sword begins to shine. Mars and Asta clash again, but this time Asta's sword swing unleashes a blade of water that strikes Mars and extinguishes the flames. However, Asta collapses as one of Mars's harps hits him in the stomach. After Asta collapses, Noel Silva instructs Mimosa Vermilion to heal Asta instead. Mars, who wasn't defeated by Asta's attack, gets back up. Watching Mimosa heal Asta reminds him of the Diamond Kingdom's experiments, where he befriended fellow student Fauna and was forced to kill her. Fuming with anger, Mars conjures another leviathan and brings it down toward Mimosa and Asta. Klaus Lunetz, Yuno, and Luck Voltia struggle against their crystal restraints. With a surge of strength, Yuno manages to break free, but he panics, realizing he doesn't have a spell to stop the massive sword in time. Suddenly, time slows, and Yuno spots a small girl beside him. She yawns and then blows a gust of wind that shatters Mars's spells and slams him against a wall, defeating him. The others look on in confusion, unsure of what just occurred. Asta's new sword then vanishes into his grimoire, triggering the dungeon's collapse. Yuno summons a heavenly wind arc, and the magic knights gather on it. Asta urges them to take Mars with them, but the ceiling caves in, burying the mage warrior. Under Luck's guidance, the arc soars to the surface. Lotus Humalt escapes after them, having concealed his bustling lazy vehicle, and followed the group. The cart is also transporting the other diamond mages, including Mars. As the cart flies away, Mars's memories resurface, and he thanks Lotus for saving him while recalling the promise he made to Fauna. Once Asta is mostly healed, Klaus embraces him and Yuno, apologizing for everything. Asta can't believe he slept for a whole week after the battle with Mars while exploring the dungeon. He discovers that Noel Silva was worried about him while he was out. Luck Voltia asks if he's ready to fight, but Asta replies that he's just hungry. When the food arrives, he devours more than enough. Yami Sukiro walks in and informs him that Magic Knight headquarters wants a report on what happened in the dungeon. Asta and Noel set off for the Clover Kingdom royal capital. They bump into Yuno, Klaus Lunetz, and Mimosa Vermilion. Asta tries to greet Mimosa, but she runs away. Noel asks what's wrong, and Mimosa admits she has a crush on Asta. Upon arriving at Magic Knight headquarters, they are welcomed by Julius Novachrono, the current Wizard King. Julius asks Yuno to demonstrate the magic he used in the dungeon, but Yuno explains he could only use it once. Julius reassures him that the spell will develop as he grows and one day become an extraordinary power. Asta asks Julius to read his grimoire as well, but Julius finds it incomprehensible. Asta then reveals his new anti-magic sword, and Julius is thrilled. He asks to hold it, but when he does, he realizes it's absorbing his magic. Julius explains that Asta can wield it because he lacks magic. Asta and Yuno both inquire about how Julius became the Wizard King. He replies that it was due to merit, proving that they are the best. Julius invites them to a war merits conferment ceremony, where he awards the Magic Knights new ranks and medals. Afterward, they are invited to a small reception. Julius excuses himself, saying something came up. During the reception, the other Magic Knights start teasing Asta. He's used to it, but soon they turn their jokes toward Yuno, Klaus, Mimosa, and Noel. Noel tries to leave, but Asta stops her. He leaps onto a table and declares that he's going to earn a ton of merit and become the Wizard King just to silence them. Raid Spirito swears revenge on the Clover Kingdom for expelling him. At the reception, Asta announces that he's going to become the Wizard King. The others laugh at him and attack with their magic. Asta brandishes his new sword and cuts through their spells. He gets ensnared by Alec-Dor Sandler's magic, and Solid Silva aims a water bullet at him. Yuno reaches for his grimoire, but Asta manages to summon his larger sword just in time and slices through the bindings. He redirects Solid's magic back at him, forcing him to kneel. Asta and Solid face off, but Nozal Silva interrupts by releasing his his mana. Fugole Vermilion steps in to prevent Nozel from punishing Asta, stating they should be ashamed for getting so upset over a little boy. Leopold Vermilion declares Asta his rival. Asta insists that Yuno is his true rival, but Leopold tells him he can never have enough rivals. Nozel is incredulous that Leopold would declare a peasant his rival. Fugolian mentions that Julius Novachrono allowed him to be there, saying, "Give the kid some credit." Nozel and Fugolian prepare to clash when a messenger arrives with news that the capital is under attack. The assailant can create zombies that terrorize the citizens. The Magic Knights brainstorm a plan, but Asta declares he'll head straight for the loudest chaos. Leopold decides to follow Asta. The rest of the Magic Knights split into teams, heading to different areas of the capital. Fugolian and Noel pair up to search for Asta. Raids corners a little girl, but just as he reaches for her, Asta appears and lunges at him. In the North District, Asta cuts through Raid's Spirito's zombies with ease. Raids recognizes Asta and summons more zombies, convinced that Asta can't kill them all with his rusty sword. In the Central District, Nozel Silva, Solid Silva, and Nebber Silva arrive on the scene. In the West District, Klaus Lunette struggles to take down the zombies. In the East District, Sol Marin and Charlotte Roselai find themselves surrounded by the undead. In the Northwest District, Yuno attempts to discover the zombies' weaknesses. Back in the North District, Noel Silva, Leopold Vermilion, and Fugolian Vermilion, who were searching for Asta, now face the zombies. Fugolian decides they must crush the undead until they can't stand anymore. And across the capital, various teams of Magic Knights unleash their magic against the zombies. Asta mows down a swarm of zombies with his sword and questions Raids about attacking innocent people. Raids declares that anyone who doesn't understand his magic is a sinner. He summons No. For Jimmy, declaring Asta his opponent. Jimmy uses curse power, but Asta blocks it with his sword. Raids orders Jimmy to target a little girl, but Asta rushes in to save her. Noelle arrives to help, but is reminded of how her siblings used to mock her, causing her to call for help instead. Fuigolian hits her on the head and urges her to focus, saying it's fine to be weak, but remaining weak is not an option. Noelle realizes that if Asta can grow stronger, so can she. She uses her magic to shield the little girl, freeing Asta to attack Raids. Leopold joins in by defeating the zombies around them. Asta performs a spinning attack on Jimmy, knocking him down. Raids then summons another zombie, No, to Alfred, surrounded by electricity. Yuno looks up at the sky, and seeing the column of electricity, worries for Asta. Nozel Silva wonders what Raid Spirito is up to, noticing that the zombies are starting to weaken. King Augustus Cura Clover X I asks where Julius Novachrono is and who's defending the royal capital. He believes the Wizard King should be here to protect him. Chef Jamo is reluctant to leave and frustrated that no Magic Knights will taste his signature dish. Charmy Papitson bursts in, pleading to be allowed to eat his food. The chef agrees and continues cooking while Charmy dances around excitedly. Asta struggles to hit No, to Alfred as he keeps floating around. Noel Silva wants to help but feels unsure how. Leopold Vermilion offers to assist her in defending Asta. Raid summons another zombie to keep them distracted, taunting Asta that he'll win just by letting his corpses do the work, claiming he has a brain and knows how to use it. Asta, confused, crosses his swords just as Alfred charges up. Suddenly, a ray of fire engulfs Alfred, turning him to ash. Fugolian Vermilion steps up to Asta, placing a hand on his shoulder. Asta feels upset for not being able to defeat Alfred on his own. Fugolian apologizes for interfering but says he didn't want Asta to die. He declares Asta his rival too, since they both aspire to become the Wizard King. Fugolian approaches Raids, telling Asta to leave the rest of the fighting to him. When Asta tries to join the battle, Fugolian taps the boy's head and reminds him he's in no shape to keep fighting. Fugolian asks Raids what he hopes to achieve with all this. Raids explains that he was expelled from the Purple Orca Squad for his dangerous magic and wants revenge for being kicked out of the squad in the kingdom. Raids then summons another zombie, No, one Carl. Fugolian attacks, but Raids blocks with a magical barrier. Fugolian creates his own barrier and attacks again, managing to break through this time and killing Carl. Raids is left in shock. All over the capital, the zombies start collapsing. The people cheer, but floating above them is another mage, ready to make her move. Raid Spirito watches as Noel Silva and Leopold Vermilion take down his last zombie. Fugolian Vermilion restrains Raids and seizes his grimoire. Upon inspecting it, Fugolian discovers it has only one page, meaning Raids can cast just a single spell. Raids expresses fear that they'll look down on him. Asta reassures him they won't, but laments that it's a shame he wasted his magic like this. Suddenly, a voice comes from a magical device in Raids' ear, telling him he wasn't strong enough to defeat a captain alone, and that everything will go according to their master's plan. Throughout the capital, the Magic Knights are celebrated by the crowd. Nozel Silva begins to suspect something is amiss. Just then, Yuno's grimoire glows as the ground beneath the Magic Knights turns black, swallowing them up. They find themselves transported outside the royal capital. Fuigolian asks Raids if another magic user is nearby. Above, Catherine is frustrated that she won't get to play with any of the Magic Knights left behind. She casts a spell to absorb the nearby young mana. Intervenes, having dodged the spatial magic spell, and calls her an old hag, which angers her and prompts her to send curse magic his way. Evades the curses, inquiring about her identity and intentions. Catherine explains that they're here to eliminate someone, but she refuses to reveal who. Fuegoleon continues to press raids for information and learns they are after him. Another spatial magic spell engulfs Fuegoleon, sending him into a white dimension. Keeps dodging Catherine's attacks, but eventually gets struck. His vision blurs and his body begins to shut down. With his other senses dulled, he becomes more attuned to mana. Finally, he summons Sylph and uses her to manipulate the city's mana, directing the attack at Catherine. Meanwhile, Fuegoleon is taken aback when he recognizes a mage in the white dimension. Charmy Papitson is happily munching away when Catherine crashes through the wall. She strides toward Charmy, intent on stealing her mana. Mistaking her for someone trying to take her food, Charmy gets defensive. In response, she conjures a giant sheep that absorbs all of Catherine's magic. The sheep also delivers a powerful punch, sending Catherine flying out through the opening. Charmy declares that no one will touch her food. Catherine is ultimately captured by the authorities, and all the mana she had stolen is returned to its rightful owners. As Charmy's sheep disappears, her food almost tumbles out the window, but is there to save it. He can't believe that a kid stopped Catherine. Charmy gets flustered in front of while he feels lightheaded from expending so much mana. He faints, but Charmy manages to catch him. Leopold Vermilion sees his raid Spirito, demanding to know where Fuegoleon Vermilion is. Noel Silva insists that the mage who sent Fuegoleon away must be close by. Asta discovers him hiding among the fallen bodies. The mage congratulates Asta for finding him and ominously states that it's all over. He brings back Fuegoleon, or at least his body missing one arm. His grimoire remains intact, indicating he's still alive. Noel tries to staunch the bleeding while Leopold panics. Raids blast Leopold away and prepares to escape when Asta charges at him. Asta's sword slices through the magic, preventing Raids from leaving. He delivers a punch, prompting Raids to call out to Valtos for help. Valtos replies that he cannot assist. Suddenly, a chilling magic sweeps in and new mages appear. Asta slashes his arms with his swords to combat the cursed magic threatening to make him bleed. This allows him to fight more fiercely, declaring that no matter how many foes confront him, he will send them all packing. Asta blocks all the mages' attacks, with Leopold Vermilion jumping in to assist him in the fight. Noel Silva creates a protective barrier around them, but one of the terrorists casts a spell that absorbs their magic. Asta and Leopold are hit by piercing tornado needles and crash to the ground. Just as George is about to strike again, the Magic Knights make their triumphant return. Mimosa Vermilion rushes to heal Fuegoleon Vermilion. Valtos urges the mages to retreat now that the other knights are back on the scene. However, Sally ensnares Asta and her gel magic, and as the terrorists begin to pull back, they ominously declare that the Eye of the Midnight Sun will bring down the Clover Kingdom. Noelle is eager to chase after them, but Nozel Silva reminds her that their priority is to reinforce the capital's defenses. Asta is then taken to the hideout of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Sally plans to study him due to his unique anti-magic abilities. Suddenly, Julius Novachrono appears, utilizing his time magic to swiftly eliminate and restrain the mages while freeing Asta. He instructs Asta to observe him closely, as he is the benchmark Asta must surpass if he wants to become the Wizard King. Julius questions the mages about the stone slab and the jewels embedded within it, indicating that he will retrieve them back in the Clover Kingdom when he senses a looming threat. Just then, another mage emerges, enveloped in a blinding white light. As the blinding light fades, Asta lowers his arms, only to find that all the other mages have vanished. Julius Novachrono wonders if that was the enemy's leader, but is relieved to have captured one of the mages for questioning. Meanwhile, Marx Francois finally reaches the Wizard King, urging him to hurry to the medical ward. Outside the medical ward, the Magic Knights anxiously wait while Fuegoleon and Leopold Vermilion receive treatment inside. They've strengthened the magical barrier and repaired the communication spells while also searching for Asta. Suddenly, Julius appears, bringing Asta and the captured mage along with him. Mimosa Vermilion and Klaus Lunetz welcome Asta back, while Noel Silva scolds him for getting himself captured. Charlotte Roselay informs Julius that Fuegoleon's pendant is missing, prompting her to wonder about the identities of their attackers. Julius explains that they belong to a terrorist group intent on obliterating the Clover Kingdom and suspects that Fuegoleon's pendant could be linked to the stone slab. Nozel vows to avenge Fuegoleon's injuries. Leopold emerges from the infirmary, declaring his ambition to become the Wizard King, his determination etched into his forehead. Julius expresses concern about a possible traitor among the Magic Knights. When he attempts to interrogate the captured mage, he discovers they are protected by a powerful spell. In the hideout, Raid Spiritito swears to assemble an ultimate army of the undead to take down Asta. Sally interjects, insisting that Asta must remain alive for her experiments. Their leader, having suffered the effects of Julius's magic, finds his arm drastically aged and vows to defeat the Wizard King to establish a new country for themselves. Meanwhile, the little girl Asta saved offers treats to the Magic Knights. Charmy Papitson eagerly snatches them up first. Asta spots Yuno and challenges him, but when Yuno sends wind magic his way, Asta slices through it with his sword. Asta demands Yuno come down and face him, but Yuno simply walks away. Klaus notes that Yuno's magic seems to have grown stronger. Back at the Black Bull's base, Magnuswing tells Asta that he earned a star for his mission. Asta shares that he's been promoted to 3rd Class Junior Magic Knight, while Charmy has climbed to 1st Class Junior Magic Knight. Concerned for Fuegoleon, Asta worries aloud, but Yami Sukiro reassures him that Fuegoleon won't die so easily. Determined to train harder, Asta declares his resolve, but Yami warns him that he nearly died and needs to take a break. Finral Rulocase suggests taking Asta to a mixer, but Yami cuts him off, insisting he should focus on work. Finral Rulocase lounges atop the Black Bull base, deep in thought about the upcoming mixer he's planning. He weighs his options for who to bring along with him besides Asta. First, he considers Magnus Swing, but quickly dismisses the idea, deciding he's too much of a delinquent. Next on his list is Gauche Adlai, but Finral worries that his sister complex will scare away any potential guests. Gordon Agrippa pipes up, offering to join him, but Finral, lost in his thoughts, doesn't hear him. He contemplates inviting Charmy Papitson, but realizes the mixer would be over in minutes since she'd likely eat everything in sight. That leaves him with Yami Sukiro, but given Yami's distaste for gaudy women, he thinks better of it. Finally, he settles on Luck Voltia, who eagerly agrees to join him. As they head out, Noel Silva unexpectedly decides to follow them. Upon arriving at the mixer, things don't go as smoothly as Finral had hoped. Noel watches from the corner, observing their interactions with the girls. So far, Nero is the only one who seems to have noticed her lurking in the shadows. Nearby, Seki Bronzaza brags and spins tall tales to a group of girls, prompting Noel to unleash her water magic on him in frustration. Luck manages to strike up a connection with one of the girls, whisking her outside to showcase his lightning magic. Finral, seizing the moment, lures another girl out to the patio, leaving Asta alone with the last girl, Rebecca Scarlet. Feeling awkward, Asta tries to make small talk, and to his surprise, they discover they both care deeply about their siblings. Noel watches in horror as the two of them seem to be having fun. Just then, a drunken man stumbles over to Asta, mocking his size. He also derides Rebecca, suggesting that she works tirelessly at the restaurant just to snag a magic knight and make her life easier. Furious, Asta tells the man not to judge others based on appearances, and in a burst of strength throws him towards Seki's table. Rebecca seizes the moment, pulling Asti away as they dash outside, with Noel trailing behind them. Out in the fresh air, Rebecca asks Asta if he likes anyone. He responds affirmatively, which leads to a misunderstanding for Noel. She momentarily believes he could be talking about her. Asta then poses a bewildering question: what's the point of a mixer? This revelation leaves both Noel and Rebecca stunned. Meanwhile, both Finral and Luck strike out with their respective dates. A fearsome demon descends upon the Clover Kingdom, unleashing chaos and destruction. A brave mage confronts the beast, wielding powerful light magic. With ease, he vanquishes the demon, earning the esteemed title of Wizard King. Over time, this title is passed down to those who protect the kingdom, alongside the valiant magic knights. Father Orsi Orphi beams with pride, grateful that Yuno and Asta have grown into capable magic knights. Each month, they send money home, allowing him to repair the roof. He reminisces about the day he discovered them abandoned 15 years ago, marveling at how far they've come to be the pride of Hage Village. Giraud also recalls the grimoire acceptance ceremony, where everyone received a grimoire except Asta, who initially left empty-handed. But as fate would have it, he eventually obtained one. At Black Bull headquarters, Gordon Agrippa flips through his diary, chronicling his observations about his best friend, Asta. He reflects on their first encounter during the Magic Knight's entrance exam, where Asta took down Seki Bronzaza with a single blow. Gordon admired Asta's determination when he declared he wasn't there to fool around, but to work hard and become the Wizard King. Despite Yami's overwhelming magic during their first meeting, Asta remained steadfast in his dream, prompting Yami to invite him to the Black Bulls. Meanwhile, Yuno, sought after by all the captains, chose to join the Golden Dawn squad. Gordon notes that since Yuno is Asta's childhood friend, that makes him Asta's best friend too, and he keeps an observation diary for Yuno as well. Now, Gordon decides to update his diary with notes on Asta's training, his chores cleaning, laundry, feeding the beasts, and even the bath afterward. Noel Silva is exasperated by Asta's stupidity and recklessness, yet she recalls that he's always been this way from their first boar hunt to their battle against Heath Grace, and even in the dungeon against Mars, where Asta sustained serious injuries. As she grumbles about him making her worry, Asta returns from training, catching Noel off guard, and she accidentally sends him flying away. Meanwhile, Yuno, Klaus Lunettes, and Mimosa Vermilion gear up for a new mission. However, they refuse to ride in Klaus's vehicle, opting instead to soar through the skies on their brooms. Yuno is determined to grow stronger, reflecting on his past with Asta and their promise to become the Wizard King. In Hage, Orsi Orphi and Lily Aquaria receive letters and money from Asta and Yuno. Exciting news: Yuno has been promoted to First Class Junior Magic Knight, while Asta rises to Third Class Junior Magic Knight. At the Golden Dawn headquarters, Yuno is celebrated by his teammates, Mimosa Vermilion and Klaus Lunettes, for his promotion. Klaus gives Yuno some money since Yuno had sent all his earnings back to Hage. Meanwhile, at the Black Bull base, Yami Sukiro hands out paychecks to the team and declares a day off. Charmy Papitson immediately uses her magic to whip up a delicious meal of potatoes, a specialty from Yuno's village. Asta asks Magnus Swing for a ride to Nairn, where Rebecca Scarlet lives. Noel Silva overhears and becomes curious about his intentions. intentions. Gauche Adlai splurges his paycheck on extravagant gifts for Marie Adlai, going so far as to clear out an entire shop. Magna can't believe Asta is about to meet one of the girls he encountered at the mixer. As Gauche heads off to find Marie, he spots her playing with Asta, igniting his jealousy. Fueled by rage, he launches into an attack against Asta. Marie attempts to intervene, declaring she's going to marry Asta one day, which only fuels Gauche's fury. Sister Teresa arrives just in time to take Marie away. Gauche claims he was about to take her on a date, but the sister insists that Marie shouldn't be spending time with him. Meanwhile, Rebecca invites Asta to dinner and suggests he spend the night. Noelle is taken aback that Asta would even consider staying with Rebecca and her siblings. Marco Scarlet cheekily asks Rebecca if she plans to marry Asta, to which she responds no. However, her siblings encourage her to make a move on him later. That night, Asta drifts off to sleep, only to be jolted awake by Gauche, who barges in to attack him again. The clash sends Asta flying out of the house and into the snowy street. As he recovers, Rebecca rushes outside, alarmed, and informs them that the children are missing. Rebecca Scarlet is puzzled about where her siblings have vanished. Noelle Silva steps forward and informs them that she spotted a group of kids heading up to the mountains earlier. Sister Teresa turns to Gauche Adlai and tells him that his sister has been taken too. Gauche states that if she has her magical mirror, he can track her mana. Rebecca begins to panic, but Asta reassures her, telling her not to worry. Asta, Gauche, and Sister Teresa set off to the mountains to search for the kids, while Noelle stays behind to safeguard the town. Neige can hardly believe he's made so many new friends. Marie awakens from her spell, confused about her surroundings. Neige realizes she's no longer enchanted and slaps her when she says it's wrong to use magic on others. Barrow becomes furious with Neige for bringing Marco Scarlet, who has minimal magic. He grabs Marco and tosses him into the snow. Noelle works to keep the townsfolk calm and reaches out to the Magic Knights, but only manages to contact Seki Bronzaza. Asta spots Marco lying in the snow and leaps from Gauche's broom to reach him. Gauche is indifferent, his sole focus is on retrieving Marie. Marco is injured, but Sister Teresa quickly heals him. Asti insists they need to rescue the other children and suggests leaving Marco behind temporarily. Terrified, Marco receives Asta's squad robe for protection. As Barrow drains the magic from the children, he tries to seize Marie's magic when Gauche arrives. Neige and Gauche confront each other while Barrow grips Marie tightly. Just in time, Asti and Sister Teresa arrive to save her. Barrow mocks Asta for being magic-less, then attempts to attack him. Asta strikes first, slamming Barrow against the wall with his sword, declaring that he will never forgive him for his actions. Seki Bronzaza arrives at the Black Bull base but finds it empty. As he turns to leave, he bumps into Gordon Agrippa. Yami Sukiro appears and asks what all the commotion is about. Seki attempts to explain, but Yami assumes he's there for money. Seki wishes he had gone to the Blue Roses instead. Meanwhile, Asta and Gauche Adlai are battling Barrow and Neji. Gauche gets trapped, but cleverly uses one of his mirror spells to strike Neji. Asta approaches Barrow, demanding to know why he stole magic from the children. Barrow unapologetically states he feels no remorse, prompting Asta to strike him. However, Sister Teresa intervenes, halting Asta. She instructs him to cancel the spell affecting the children and shares that Sister Lily once trained at her church. She tells Asta that Lily described him as a hard worker with a strong heart. Gauche pursues Neige, blaming him for hitting Marie. Sally appears after Barrow activates a homing device, leaving Seki in disbelief that Yami and the others are magic knights. Meanwhile, Rebecca Scarlet and Noelle Silva sit with Rebecca's siblings, anxiously awaiting Luca and Marco's return. Gauche attempts to attack Sally, but she deflects it with her magic. Asta and Gauche then confront Sally, but their spells prove ineffective. Sally overpowers both of them, crawling on top of Asta and biting him to test his blood. Fortunately, Sister Teresa melts Sally's magic, freeing Asta. She reveals she was once a magic knight known as the Crimson She Leopard. Asta asks if she knows Fugolian Vermilion, and she replies that she used to tutor him. Sally complains that 3 against 1 isn't fair, prompting Barrow to offer his assistance if she heals him. Sally agrees and jabs him with a large syringe. Suddenly, Barrow morphs into a mud monster. Teresa instructs Gauche and Asta to protect the children, but Gauche seizes Marie and makes a hasty retreat. Asta and Sister Teresa must battle Barrow, the mud monster, while safeguarding the children. Sister Teresa conjures a magical leopard for the kids to ride to safety. As Barrow lunges for Neji, Asta intervenes with his sword. Neige wonders why Asta saved him, and Asta replies that he hasn't taken responsibility for his actions yet. Asta begins to chop away at Barrow, but the monster keeps regenerating. This leaves him vulnerable, but Teresa intervenes, protecting him from Sally's magic. Sally warns Teresa to back off, but Teresa retorts not to underestimate older women like her. Marie Adlai tries to convince Geisha Adlai to return and help, but he's solely focused on her safety. In a burst of frustration, Marie punches him in the face and insists it's his duty as a magic knight to protect everyone. Gauche drops Marie off with Marco outside the cave and resolves to go back and assist. As Asta fights Barrow, he nearly meets his end, but Gauche shoves him out of harm's way. Gauche attempts his magic against Barrow, but the creature regenerates too quickly. After getting knocked to the ground, Gauche faces Barrow, who is about to crush him. In a moment of desperation, Asta slices through Barrow's hand with his sword. Gauche decides to protect protect them all. Asta's second sword begins to glow, just like before, and he slices through Baro again, yet the monster still regenerates. Ghosh realizes they must unleash a barrage of simultaneous attacks to prevent Baro from healing. He invents a new spell that allows him to clone Asta, creating several copies. The many Astas charge at Baro and manage to take him and Sally down. Nej weeps over Baro's discarded clothing, expressing his intention to take responsibility for their crimes. Asta assures him that once he's done, they can be friends. Suddenly, Nega collapses, struck in the back by magic. Licht appears, launching an assault on Asta and Ghosh. Asta is saved when Sister Teresa heroically jumps in front of the magical attack, sacrificing herself. Licht introduces himself as the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. It's then that Asta notices Licht possesses a 4-leaf clover grimoire, just like Yuno. Asta kneels over Sister Teresa Rapuel as she takes her last breaths. Licht instructs Valtos to send Sally away. Before leaving, Sally tells Asta that he belongs to her. Licht informs Asta that they plan to destroy the Clover Kingdom and replace it with a new one. Asta charges at Licht but is quickly overpowered. Just as Licht is about to kill him, Yami Sukiro arrives and deflects the lethal blow. Yami explains that everyone back at the base was useless, so he decided to come lend a hand. Finral Rulacase was dragged along for the ride too. Licht reveals that he's always wanted to fight Yami, intrigued by his dark magic. Asta urges Finral to escort the kids and everyone else back to town. Curious about his sword, Asta asks Yami about it, and Yami tells him it's a katana from his homeland. Licht fires a beam of light magic at Yami, but Yami skillfully deflects it, and they engage in combat. Licht shares a tale about a village with powerful magic that was slaughtered by humans seeking their power. Yami responds with his own story of arriving in the Clover Kingdom, facing mockery due to his race and culture, but ultimately defeating his tormentors and rising to lead the group. Yami then inquires if Licht was the one who took down Fuigolian for Vermilion, to which Licht confirms he was. The two continue their fierce battle, with Yami eventually slashing Licht's face. Yami instructs Asta to mimic his actions, but Asta protests, saying he lacks magic. Yami tells him to concentrate on his ki, the various forms of life energy emitted by the human body. He explains that he sensed Licht's ki, which guided his next move. Valtos offers to aid Licht, but Licht instead commands him to capture Asta. Valtos lunges at Asta, but Asta channels his ki to thwart the attacks. Injured, Valtos infuriates Licht further, prompting him to conjure a magical whip that collapses the cave ceiling. Rubble rains down on Asta and Yami, but they emerge from the debris, swords raised high, ready to continue the fight. Asta and Yami Sukiro emerge from the rubble. Yami informs Licht that by using ki, one can also sense falling objects. He instructs Asta to pursue Licht, but then decides to do it himself, stating he wants to show Licht the power of a magic knight captain. Asta, confused about his excess energy, asks what he should do with it. Yami shrugs, saying he doesn't care, and tells Asta to face Valtos instead. Yami and Licht clash fiercely. Yami questions Licht, asking if he is a member of the Clover Kingdom since he wields a Clover grimoire. If so, he wonders why Licht is attacking his homeland. Their fight intensifies, and Yami presses Licht for his true goals. Licht explains the distortions in the kingdom and the discrimination based on magical ability. Yami challenges him, asking if he's trying to replicate that very discrimination. Yami, filled with rage, attacks Licht again, declaring his hatred for him. As Asta watches the fierce battle, he wonders if he'll ever be able to surpass them without magic. Valtos intervenes to assist Licht, but Yami intercepts his attack. Yami urges Asta to deal with Valtos however he can. Asta charges at Valtos, but is quickly injured. He contemplates how to defeat Valtos, then tosses his weapons aside and leaps through one of Valtos' portals. He reappears right in front of Valtos and lands a punch, sending Valtos crashing into the wall and knocking him out. Exhausted, Asta collapses to the ground. Yami praises him but leaves himself vulnerable to Licht. Or so Licht thinks, as Yami suddenly turns and absorbs Licht's magic. Licht is stunned when he realizes he can't move as Yami strikes again. He admits that Yami is only the second person powerful enough to defeat him. The first was Julius Novachrono, who aged his arm. Licht prepares a spell that will kill Yami the instant he releases it. Yami knows he must catch Licht off guard if he hopes to survive. Meanwhile, Finral Rulacase successfully reunites the children with their families. In another room, Geishe Lai yells at Sister Teresa Rapuel, insisting she cannot die. He pleads for her to wake up, and she retorts to be quiet, claiming she can hear him. She raises her hand and transfers her magic to Ghosh, entrusting him to save Asta and the others before she passes. However, the healer reveals that she's still alive. Sister Teresa urges Ghosh to hurry and rescue them. The children offer to give Ghosh their magic to aid in his mission. Realizing what he needs to do, Ghosh asks Finral to take him back to the cave. Finral suggests waiting for reinforcements, but Ghosh insists he has a plan to defeat them. Finral warns him that his magic is running low, and he may only be able to use it once more. Ghosh begs for his help. Yami generates a force field around himself and Asta, feeling the weight of the moment. Just as Licht unleashes his attack, Ghosh arrives. Using his magic, Ghosh reflects the attack back at Licht. The blast sends Licht crashing down from the sky. Elsewhere, three figures watch as Sally is being healed. One of them suggests that it's their turn now. Finral Rulacase congratulates Geisha Adlai for saving the day. Yami Sukiro playfully teases Ghosh for returning and stealing all the glory. Ghosh asks Finral to send him back to Marie Adlai, but Finral informs him that his magic needs time to recover first. Together, Yami and Ghosh approach Licht. Yami informs Licht that they plan to take him back to the Magic Knight's headquarters, where he will have to disclose everything about the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Yami then uses his magic to bind Licht. Meanwhile, Noel Silva anxiously wonders where the Magic Knight reinforcements are. Hearing a commotion outside, she rushes to investigate. The children have safely returned thanks to the Magic Knights. However, Rebecca Scarlet notices that Luca and Marco Scarlet are missing. Nero guides them to where Sister Teresa Rapul is being healed, reuniting Rebecca with her siblings. Noel spots Marco wearing Asta's squad robe. Marco explains that Asta gave it to him to help him feel brave. Curious, Noel asks where Asta is, and Marie informs them that he's still back at the cave. Frustrated, Noel expresses her disappointment that Finral and Ghosh didn't take her with them. Back in the cave, the Black Bulls await Finral's magic to replenish. Suddenly, Yami stands up, sensing a surge of mana. A portal opens, and Raya, Veto, and Fauna step through. Fauna rushes to Licht and begins healing him. Licht introduces his allies as the strongest trio of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, known as the Third Eye. He explains that he has given them names that oppose the values of the Clover Kingdom: Raya, the treachery; Veto, the despair; and Fauna, the hatred. Yami retorts that mere names can't convey their true strength. Raya declares they'll show him just how strong they are and attacks the group. Veto joins in, shattering Yami's sword, while Fauna unleashes spirit magic, blasting them with flames. Despite wielding a broken sword, Yami continues to fight valiantly. Asta yearns to assist, but Yami tells him to watch as he pushes his limits. The Third Eye decides to end Yami's fight and launches 3 powerful magic blasts at him. Just as it seems Yami will be defeated, 3 more Magic Knights appear to aid him: Nozel Silva, Charlotte Roselet, and Jack the Ripper. Dedo scoffs, saying they're no match for the Third Eye. Jack eagerly expresses his excitement to join the fray, while Charlotte asserts that they have many questions for their foes. Noel Silva converses with Niaiju, declares his intention to turn himself in to the Magic Knights so he can become friends with Asta. Noel urges him to pray for Asta's safe return, her worry spiraling as she frets about him. Overhearing this, Rebecca Scarlet mistakenly assumes Noel as the woman Asta loves, leaving her feeling hopeless about her own chances. Meanwhile, back in the cave, Jack the Ripper tells Yami Sukiro he should slice him up too, referencing old grudges. Charlotte Roselet chimes in, demanding to know when he plans to get off the ground and join the fight. She throws some playful insults his way, though it's clear she harbors feelings for Yami. Yami teases Nozel Silva about his hair, provoking a threat from Nozel to eliminate them first. Asta steps up, eager to help, but Nozel dismisses him, insisting they don't need his assistance and that he would only be in the way. Raya charges at Charlotte, intent on battling her. She counters with her Briar magic, but he slices right through it. Jack faces off against Veto, and the two exchange fierce attacks. Nozel focuses on Licht, sending a blast of magic his way. Fauna intervenes, blocking the attack and declaring that anyone who dares attack Licht must face death. As Yami, Asta, Finral Rulacase, and Ghosh Adlai observe the Magic Knights battling the Third Eye, Yami asks Finral if he's regained enough magic for one last trip. Finral assumes they're heading home, but Yami has a different plan. Licht contemplates Asta's grimoire, determined to seize it. Suddenly, Yami drops down from above, having had Finral use his spatial magic to create a portal overhead. Anticipating the assault, Licht prepares to unleash magic against Yami, but Asta suddenly appears with his sword, slashing at Licht while Yami uses his magic to force him down. In an unexpected turn, Licht starts to levitate. Asta has broken the seal on Licht's magic with his sword. Licht questions why Asta possesses the Demon Slayer and Demon Dweller swords, claiming they belong to the Master. Asta firmly states that the grimoire and swords are rightfully his. Licht's power begins to surge, alarming the others as they realize that if he releases it, the entire area will be devastated. Yami urges everyone to seize the moment to surpass their limits, and Asta agrees wholeheartedly. Ghosh worries if he has enough magic left to counter the impending attack. As Raya, Veto, and Fauna gather around Licht, they employ Trinity Seal magic to restrain his power. Raya seizes Valtos, announcing that they're heading home, while Veto adds that though they may have lost this round, the next will be theirs. With that, they vanish, leaving the rest behind. Asta ponders whether they truly won since the terrorists retreated. Yami reassures him that their departure counts as a victory, noting that Veto admitted defeat. The other captains continue to rib Yami, while Asta finally succumbs to exhaustion and passes out. Nozel mentally notes that he must remember Asta. Elsewhere, Raya, Veto, Fauna, and Raid Spirito observe Licht floating in a containment tube. Raids criticizes the Third Eye mages for their failure, which angers Veto. He then shifts the discussion to their next steps, highlighting the threat posed by the Wizard King, who will work tirelessly to uncover their secrets. Since they know George and Catherine are still captive, any information they divulge could lead the Magic Knights to discover their base and Licht's true identity, further aggravating Veto. Raya intervenes, calming Veto and agreeing that it's too early for that information to surface. He resolves to leave, despite his reluctance. Asta awakens to the soothing touch of Mimosa Vermilion as she heals heals him. Klaus Lunetz expresses his concern, and Mimosa embraces Asta, causing Noelle Silva to glare in jealousy as she shoves Asta against the wall. Shocked, Asta learns he has slept for an entire day. Klaus informs him that they arrived too late to assist in the battle against Licht. Grateful, Asta thanks Mimosa for her healing, but she reminds him that Klaus helped too. Klaus updates Asta that Nage has been taken into custody, but might be granted volunteer work to atone for his actions. Yuno chimes in, saying that if he had been at the battle, the Eye of the Midnight Sun wouldn't have escaped. Asta vows to keep getting stronger until he becomes the Wizard King, and Yuno echoes his ambition. As Klaus, Mimosa, and Yuno prepare to leave, Mimosa shares that Sister Teresa Rappel has woken up and that Ghosh Adlai is with her. When Asta arrives to check on Sister Teresa, Ghosh expresses his gratitude for her care of Marie Adlai and voices his relief at her recovery. Asta asks Sister Teresa how she's doing, and she promises to tell Sister Lily Aquaria about his good deeds, assuring him that she will be proud of him. Noel interrupts, insisting it's time to go. Asta requests to stop at Rebecca Scarlet's home first, where he devours a feast she prepared for him. Marco Scarlet returns Asta's robe, and Rebecca gives him a kiss on the cheek, thanking him for saving her siblings. Asta blushes, prompting an angry outburst from Noelle. Back at Black Bull headquarters, Magnus Swing has organized a pie-eating contest, where everyone participates. Asta and Charmy Papitson are the last two standing, but Charmy ultimately claims victory. Yami receives a letter instructing him to bring Asta along to a conference with the other Magic Knight captains the Wizard King wants to see him. Meanwhile, Julius Nova Chrono suspects a traitor among them and is determined to uncover their identity at the conference the following day. Marx Francois questions whether this plan will work, and Julius responds that it all hinges on Asta. When Asta and Yami arrive for the conference, Marx greets them and takes Asta to the royal prison, suggesting that Asta's anti-magic sword might help reveal the traitor. They find Julius waiting for them, who inquires about the battle against the Eye of the Midnight Sun and the types of magic used. Before Asta can respond, Marx interjects, and Julius requests that Asta use his sword to break the spell on the prisoner's memories. Asta taps the two prisoners on the head with the Demon Slayer sword, dispelling the spell. Marx then employs his memory magic to delve into their memories and begin questioning them. Meanwhile, at the conference, the Magic Knight captains discuss their star rankings. William Vengeance arrives late, prompting Nozel Silva to question him about his tardiness. William claims he had other business, leading Nozel to wonder if that's why he also missed the War Merits conferment ceremony. Growing impatient, Yami wonders where Julius is since he called them together. Just then, Marx appears, summoning them to the prison below. William asks why the Wizard King has gathered them, and Marx reveals that thanks to Asta, Julius has discovered that there is a traitor among them. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic content. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't miss out on the next video. There's always more fun, surprises, and challenges ahead. Until next time, stay awesome and keep exploring.